Before we get into question and answer session, which we'll have to keep fairly brief, I'm just going to talk you through some of the feedback we've had from Ballymore, Geronimo, the developers today. One of their concerns is that they're arguing that the draft vision lacks an evidence base. They've suggested that the selection of buildings and yards which propose for retention need more evidence, stronger case to be made, as well as the conservation area. They've also raised some concerns around whether or not the scheme that we're putting forward is fundamentally viable or not, as well as questions around the retention of the boatyard at Ridgway's Wharf. I should say that all of these queries we've responded in some depth to. None of those cause us any great anxiety. They raised some questions in their feedback around the density of development, and we've actually given them a more detailed response now in that area, and we'll probably add greater clarification and detail to the final report in this area. There was, I suppose, some misunderstanding that was suggesting that right the way across the site it should only be 4 stories. That certainly isn't the view that we've come to as a steering group. I think that some areas, and particularly the high street frontage, might most appropriately be 4 stories, but we'd certainly see a somewhat higher build at other parts of the site. Geronimo Ballymore accept that the best of the historic environment should be retained, but not necessarily the amount of retention that we're proposing. So I'm sure there'll be ongoing discussions around that in the months to come. Our specific suggestion there is that given that we've got a number of architects in the area with historic conservation and architecture expertise, we'd like them to be involved in some of the reviewing of the buildings that Geronimo and Ballymore's experts will be undertaking. There's the suggestion at the end that the underground car park design that we're proposing, working around the historic environments, as developers put it at the moment, grossly inefficient, costly and difficult to construct. Well, we're disputing that and saying that the amount of additional retaining wall isn't that excessive. We think it would make the scheme unviable, but we're inviting them to put forward more detailed information on the contrast and costs of what they'd like to see happen and what we're proposing as a community. They're agreeing with the need for retail expansion and the introduction of an anchor store, but raising some concerns about exactly where that might fit around the historic conservation that we're proposing. So again, I think we're looking for more detailed and greater depth of information exchange in that, so we can all come to a better understanding of our respective positions. And they're also, of course, in that context, raising questions around Waterman's Art Centre and how that would fit into the mix. Linking back to all of that, there was a suggestion in their recent letter to us that there'd be a need for some selective prior demolitions. I think as long as they are selective and focused on some buildings, I think there's probably general consensus that they should go. We would be perfectly comfortable to see that happen, but obviously we don't want the options for what might happen in the next year or two limited by early demolition of buildings that the community wants retained and would like more work done, looking at their potential. So I think there are probably discussions underway between councillors and developers around that. Areas where there is consensus is around the need for high quality urban design. I think a lot of people in the local community were very encouraged by the fact that Geronimo Ballymore has recruited BDP, who are fairly respected within the architectural community for the work that they've done before. Agreement again on the need for renewable energy technologies to be an integral part of the scheme, and also interest in Ballymore in the community desire for art and cultural elements to be part of the scheme. It's quite striking that some of their work recently in central London has incorporated a small art centre. They're agreeing with the need for visitors to be important on the high street and the link to water, the need for health and education provision to be properly met, and also the need for increased local expenditure on the high street rather, so that less of Brentford's food expenditure is going elsewhere. The detailed response that we provided to developers around all these issues you can download from brentfordhighstreet.co.uk, and certainly our intention that the continued dialogue will be available online. If you've got any specific queries that you want to put to the developers that us as a panel won't be able to answer, then don't hesitate to get in touch with their representative, Rebecca, whose details are up on the screen now, but you can certainly note down later too.